Hey guys, wanted to make a review today of my use of the Logitech MX keys and sort of the whole journey that I've had finding a good keyboard, working from home now. And I wanted to share my journey and my experience along the way so that maybe you can have a better understanding of what you want in a keyboard as well. So I wanted to first start off with really where my desire came from. We're all sort of working at home, and it seems like a lot of people are using their same devices, the same keyboard day in, day out. And for me personally, I felt like I wanted to try something new. I mainly use my laptop keyboard, and I've been using it for quite some time now, but I really got a bit tired of it and I wanted something new. I'm also doing a new redesign on my office here and making a new setup, so I needed an external keyboard so that I could put my laptop up there and I can just sort of do my own stuff here. And so with that, I needed to get an external keyboard. And so the first initial desire I had was to get a mechanical keyboard. So something like this. And I did some research and I tried to find which kind of switch I would like, and I noticed that a lot of people really like cherry browns, and it seems like it's a good balance between getting the tactile feedback, and it seems like it's also not going to be really loud and obnoxious. So I went ahead and got a keyboard like this, and this is the Dravo Caliber V2. So the caliber is pretty good. I mean, it's fairly cheap. It's a lot cheaper than the other options. I got this for about 90 Canadian. And you can probably get this in the States for even cheaper. But in terms of why I got this, well, I wanted a mechanical keyboard for some time now. I wanted something cherry browns, and this had the option for cherry browns. It also looked pretty good as well. So I was like, why not get this keyboard? And then the last reason I got it was because of small form factor. I didn't want a full-size keyboard because it took up my entire desk. And I just don't really use the numpad keys as much, so it seemed like a waste, and I might as well save the money on those additional key costs and just get a smaller form factor. But then when I finally got it, and this is like the first time ever I'm really using a cherry brown mechanical keyboard, and this is the first time I ever had a mechanical keyboard, I'm typing on it and it's not satisfying. I mean, I thought it would be a very, very satisfying key switch, but typing on it, I noticed it wasn't as satisfying as I thought it would be. I thought this tactile feedback would be some immediate satisfaction to how I would feel, but it didn't really turn out to the sort of hype and the standards I made it out to be. So typing on it, it was not as much as I would like. And other than that, I mean, it's pretty bulky, right? I mean, the keycaps are enormous, right? This is a very thick keyboard. Mechanical keyboards in general are just very, very thick. And so I was not really satisfied with coming from, chiclet style keyboards and very slim keyboards to going to something very clunky and chunky as this. And aesthetics wise or aside or whatever you want to say about sort of chunky keys, I'm not here to judge the actual reason behind sort of having a more chunkier or thicker keys is that it actually messes with your typing. Personally for me, I found that if I typed a certain key, I couldn't slide onto another key as much, right? There's a lot of travel distance. And so the next key, when you press on a key and you go to the next key, you sort of can't really drag on your finger. And that became a bit of an annoying problem because sometimes when I would type, I noticed a lot of misclicks would happen where I would be a little slowed down where I'm trying to pass over, but then I hit a key on the way, and it just makes me a bit frustrated. It made me a little bit angry and taking away from that that satisfying feeling of typing that I was looking for. So all that happens aside, and then I noticed something else as well. With my chiclet style keyboard, because it's a slim profile, if I didn't hit it right on the perfect area, so if I hit it on the edge, I I could still register a key stroke, right? Or I could just quickly position my hand to move in and just get that key stroke, right? It'd be a lot easier for me to move it in, because there was another part of this aluminum plate that was surrounding the keys in which I can rest my finger on. And so it wasn't as punishing to miss a key click. Whereas on this keyboard, a mechanical keyboard, it's much more punishing. When you don't hit it on the right key, when you don't hit it perfectly on and you hit it more on the edge, you're way more likely to hit another key on the way. And that's because the sort of spacing, but more so because there's nothing else around the key. And so you're more likely to lean onto some other key and press that key, or there's some sort of interference that happens right with the keys, because you really have no way of telling sort of your finger where exactly you are relative to it. And with such big keycaps, it just becomes even more difficult to sort of adapt to that way. So I'm experiencing this problem, and I quickly realized that I can't keep this keyboard forever. This is not exactly what I'm looking for, and I thought maybe it was this keyboard itself, and I could just go out and get a more expensive, higher quality keyboard that wouldn't have as much troubles. There's actually one other trouble with this keyboard, which was that there's a buzzing and like a very loud sound to it with the spring, and that I've heard online is usually because of a cheaper keyboard. It doesn't have as good materials and quality to sort of absorb the sound of the switch and the springs. But that problem aside, I mean, there was already problems I'm facing with typing, right? The typing experience was clearly there. And so that's something across all mechanical keyboards. So even if I got the most expensive keyboard, a mechanical keyboard, I could be definitely facing the same problems with having large keycaps and having that much more punishing issue where if I don't have surroundings around the key, then it might create a bit of a problem. So this is some, I guess, arguably personal problems with me and my experience with mechanical keyboard. It might help you in translating to your understanding about mechanical keyboards. But I quickly realized that for me, I felt a little bit overrated to get this mechanical keyboard, which I thought in my head would be a very, very satisfying click, a very satisfying typing experience this entire time. And so I, went on another journey, and I'm trying to find another keyboard, trying to find something to replace this. And, I started looking online, and, it's other mechanical keyboards mainly that I'm finding. But then something hit me, and it was actually this guy right here. So this is the Logitech MX keys, and I heard about this keyboard in a few places. I heard about it from some YouTubers and programmers that I've watched online, and I thought it would be just like my laptop keyboard, in that I would have the same experience and it wouldn't be as satisfying to sort of type on. It would just be like getting my laptop keyboard in an external keyboard form. So that's clearly a bit of a problem for me, and that's not something that I would like. So I thought, I don't really want to go for something like this, right? I don't really want to go for this kind of chiclet style keyboard because it's going to be a bit of a problem. But, because I've seen other reviews on it and I looked at the Amazon reviews, and it just seemed like something that was a bit different, right? There's like indentations built into the keys themselves. And so I thought it would be a little bit different. It had a little bit more travel than my laptop keys. And, so many programmers seem to like this keyboard. So as a programmer myself, I'm like, why not? Why not try it out, right? Worst case, I just return it and I move on to the next subject, right? I mean, finding your best keyboard is a matter of sometimes just what kind of keys you like, and trying out different keyboards. So I went ahead and tried this keyboard out, and to my immediate satisfying feeling, I realized that there's something very different about this keyboard. So the initial sort of opinion I had of it, right, I didn't plug it into my laptop. I was just typing on it normally without being plugged into a computer. And when I was typing on it, I didn't really notice anything special. I thought, it seems like a laptop keyboard pretty much. I'm typing on it and it's whatever. But then when I plugged it in, that's when I started getting a little bit of a different feeling. It was actually really immediate. The moment I plugged it in and I started typing on it, I noticed that the response of the keys were very fast. It was a very, very fast response. I don't know what they did with the software, but they did something really, really well where the keys are being registered very fast on the device that you're typing on. I'm using this on Windows, and the key strokes seem to be happening so fast that I really was confused. I was like, what's going on here, right? It's very hard to describe, and I can try to sort of show you a demonstration here of how the keys are sort of being pressed, but all in all, it's really difficult to describe because the response time is in milliseconds here, and the difference that I felt was enough to clearly feel it. So that was one of the first initial things, but that's not everything, right? So I kept typing on it. I kept typing on it, and I started realizing that there is actually a bit of a satisfying click to the keys. Now, this is going to vary person to person, and every person is a little different, but there was something different. When I typed on this key, it gave me a little bit of a aha moment where it was like I found the satisfying keystroke that I was in dire need of, the one that I was looking in mechanical keyboards, but I couldn't find. And it hit me really, really well, and I loved it. And I was like, wow, this is phenomenal. So I thought maybe this is a placebo effect. Maybe, I'm just going with whatever I'm used to and things like that. And maybe there's something wrong with me. But then I went ahead and did a typing test, and I noticed that I actually did better on this key, and there was less errors and stuff like that than with this keyboard. So there's clearly something different here. The highest I got on this was about high 70s words per minute, and with this keyboard, I got almost about 100 words per minute. That's really weird. Mechanical keyboards are supposed to be the ones that you're supposed to get a much more responsive feeling, and you're supposed to get a lot more words per minute, and that's generally what I thought for so long. But typing on this was something. This was something a lot different, and I liked it a lot. So, among other things and among other features, that's sort of the experience I had with this, and that's sort of what I've imagined too. Um, and that's sort of the journey I've had with my keyboard so far. So I'm really thankful for sort of running into this keyboard, but for other people who are working from home and trying out different keyboards, or maybe want some change in their office setup, I definitely would recommend this keyboard. It solved the problems and that sort of dire need that I wanted, and it's great. It has great features, and you can look into other features among it. But personally, for me, that's sort of the satisfying aspect that I was looking for. It was solved. And so, yeah, that concludes my review.